I do have something planned.
Do it.
I'm nervous about it. So, all right, guys, it's time to get real. So every year, we do feels time with Liz. So if you don't have your tissues ready, here they are.
Strap it.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Okay. So, well, it's funny because I tell this story every year and I write about it, and yet still I get nervous. Okay, so I am a huge fan of Desert Bus for Hope. I joined in 2012, and a big part for me is yes, and Map. If you feel like some feels music, I will support that. So a big part for me is that I am a huge fan of Child's Play charity. I didn't really know about it until I heard about Desert Bus for Hope. And so hopefully you know, but if not, Child's Play charity is a charity that donates money and consoles and games to children's hospitals and domestic violence shelters. That's basically where kids are going through trauma and could use a few moments of feeling like a kid. And for me, that means a lot because when I was a kid, I had cancer and I spent a lot of time in the hospital. So you're going to see some photos. Yeah, look, it's little me with no hair. So I am 12 in that photo, matching my headscarf with my sweater, because style. And I was just a kid, not knowing what was going on. All of a sudden, I had a weird, like, thing on my neck that made it look like I was tilting my head, and it turned out it was, well, they told me it was a tumor first, and I didn't know that tumor meant cancer, because cancer is like this big word with a C. And once I had heard about that, I remember going to the hospital. My whole family went with me. They talked about, these are all the side effects of the treatment. We're going to do 6 months of chemotherapy and 2 months of radiation treatment, and you're going to lose your hair. And it was, here are the risks. And so they lined up everything for me and my family, and I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh, okay. And then as I remember walking out of the hospital with my family and being like, that's weird. I thought someone with cancer was supposed to lose their hair, not someone with a tumor. So being 11 or 12 and not really having spent a lot of time understanding the difference, and I kept walking, and I remember looking back and my whole family had just stopped, shocked, because they didn't realize that I didn't know. And so when they told me, well, that is cancer, Liz, I just burst into tears. Like, I didn't even know how bad it was until that moment. So it's even just, the word is incredibly scary, especially as a kid, where I didn't know what all those implications were. I guess I benefited from being a kid who thought I was invincible and that there was no chance I would ever die, because that's hard to even contemplate as a kid. So I spent a lot of time in the hospital. The treatment for chemo, the chemo treatment is, as I have been told, actually hasn't improved a lot since then. It's just sort of the same stuff, which is it attacks any fast-growing cells in your body, which is both the bad cells, which is cancer, but also the good ones, like, your hair. And yeah, it's a great picture of me without eyebrows or eyelashes, with my dad. That's my high school, my school photo. And that those fast-growing cells include white blood cells. So that help protect my body. So if I ever got sick, like even just a really bad cold or the flu, I had to go into the emergency room, and then into isolation, because I didn't really have a lot of defenses. And at that time, that is when something kind of very cool happened, which is I was at Seattle Children's Hospital, and because somebody had donated a video game console and a TV and games, they were able to sort of wheel into my room this TV with a video game, and um, I spent a lot of time by myself, but I could play video games and feel like a kid again. Like, it wasn't about being sick or different. I played Super Mario Brothers. I got a little feather and I would turn into a raccoon, I guess, and fly. I don't know why those aren't related. But I got to feel normal for a minute, and it's so weird that was important to me. Like the school photo shows, like I thought that I like you couldn't tell that I didn't have any hair when I wore a bandana. Now, as looking back, it seems a little bit more obvious. Because I felt so very different than everybody. I stayed in school for half of the year in 6th grade and then ended up homeschooling, but I remember being on the playground and the other kids sort of looking at me. I mean, they weren't mean, they just didn't know how to interact with me because I was so different. And they would like talk about me in little circles and look back at me, and I was just sitting there by myself, and it was just rough. Because as a kid, it wasn't even the life-threatening stuff or the pain or the illness. It was just feeling like I didn't fit in, and that even adults would look at me differently because I represented cancer and not just a kid. But when I played video games, I could just be a kid. And that is what Child's Play is able to offer. Just moments of feeling normal, moments of forgetting about pain, or that life is hard, or that a family is struggling to try and find some normalcy. I mean, my parents tried to take care of me, but also were working full time and couldn't be there all the time. But what offered something amazing was video games. So hearing that Child's Play does that, and that we're able to donate to that, and that everyone watching can donate and support that and make a difference for a little kid. And it makes such a difference, and I don't know how to explain it other than it has stuck with me for many years, many years. And I'm excited that I have the opportunity to give back to whoever that next kid is that needs that, because someone did for me. Johnny, I have, if you want to put up that last photo, this one is the dramatic one, so I always wait till the end. One of my treatments that I had was a radiation treatment, and that involved like laying very still as an 11-year-old. You've probably seen me move around a lot, so that was hard to do even as a kid. And so in order to do that, they have to shoot the radiation right at the special spot. So they strapped me to a table and created this mask that then they would lock in, so I couldn't move, which in long term is good that I'm able to stay for that, but it sucks. And I want to tell my story so that people are able to have I guess kind of a face to what is happening here, because I see charities, and there's so much like a giving to this, support the children and doing it for the kids, and not really having a name of like what that really means on an individual person, and for each kid what that means. And so this is an example of what it is like to be that kid who doesn't have normalcy. And so even though I looked like I had no hair, despite wearing very sassy overalls, and I had a mask that I would have to wear that strapped me, and I had tons of tests, and I had like a device put in, a portacath that would, because the chemotherapy medications were so intense they couldn't put it through veins because it would burn my veins. They had to like install a thing that would portacath that would go to my heart, so my heart could help put it out there. Like, and I had like this needle in there that was like a nail. Sorry, I don't want to get too much into the needle stuff, but despite all of the horribleness of all of that experience, getting a blood transfusion because I didn't have any white blood cells, and apparently people were nervous about it, but all I remember was just more excuses to play video games. That is the memory that I am able to take away from it, and that is powerful to me. I mean, it was a gateway to being obsessed with video games now, of course, you know, so that's always the risk. But it was an incredible difference for me to feel like a kid again. So, thank you, everyone who donates. This is why we do. And I also thank Desert Bus because before 2012, I didn't really tell my story. I didn't think it was that important. I guess it was a part of my past. It's when you tell people that you had cancer, like there's this weird shift in their brain of how they view you. It's not malicious or bad, but just kind of how, because we have so much associated with the word cancer. But through Desert Bus, this experience, and through this great community, I've been able to share my story for good. And it's helped me process a very difficult time in my life in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So thank you for that. And thanks. I'm now gonna cry and be sad, but if I could get like a virtual group hug from everybody.
Yeah, this is when we normally all rush
Yeah, I
to
was
stage
gonna
and hug
say,
you, which is a lot harder this year.
Please go downstairs or find somebody in that house to give you a real hug.
I will. I will go run the street. Well, no, people bubble.
Yeah. In the house.
So,
Don't leave your
you.
house.
Chat sending you that positivity right now.
Love you, Liz.
Oh, I'm getting text messages. Oh, thank you. I love you.
Ooh, and we hit $675,000 while you were telling your story. So that is unbelievable.
Wow.
Thank you to everybody who's donated.
Yeah.
Donate
if
for
you guys
Liz.
didn't cry, you're all monsters.
Hey, look at that
$100
massive
$500
right there, $500 donation from CAK Host with
Oh,
hearts to Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
$200
$200 for
Look at
hearts.
this.
Thank you, friends. Thank you.
Wow. These are great hugs. Oh. I'm not crying, you're crying. Chat's crying.
Everyone's crying.
Everyone's crying. To see, the thing is that, like, usually I'm in a room and everyone, like, attacks me the hug, and it's not, we have this beautiful moment. But I haven't been able to feel like I'm having a nice, supportive moment here with everyone. But now I really get it, chat. This is what it was like for you, and you had to watch me cry when you were by yourself. So now I understand, but it's still an internet hug. Gosh, we have the best Twitch chat on the internet, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
It's true. Great.
All right, I'm going to go get a hug. Is it okay if I go away now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
go.
of course. James, you want me
Get
to
as
take
many
over
as you
driving?
can find.
Paul's driving it. Don't worry about
Okay.
the steering wheel. That's
Okay.
there's a mistake.
As
Okay.
long as somebody's driving.